Welcome to the Tuesday, June 11th Select Board meeting. It is 5:30 p.m. We will move into our first agenda item, which is the reorganization for the Select Board. We have nominations for chair and vice chair. So, yeah, we can move into that.
You nominate Larry Wells for chair?
I respectfully decline that. I want to stay as vice chair, and I want to nominate Clint to stay on for another year. And by then, you'll be ready to take over.
Sounds fine to me. Clint's willing to do it.
He is. I've been hitting him.
Yeah. All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
You guys just
No
keep throwing it at
discussion.
me.
Just go for the call for the vote.
No further discussion?
So we're voting on you as chair. It's basically the same organization. We're not reorganizing.
You can be the vice if you want.
No, it's okay.
Vote. So.
Yeah, I know. I just want to be clear what we're voting on.
All right. So I have a motion to leave the board in its current state. And a second. Any further discussion?
To do that last night.
Bearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
You seconded that. Who moved it? You? Or Joan moved?
Joan
Moved.
seconded it.
Second.
Yeah.
Larry moved.
Oh, and Joan.
Joan second.
Yeah.
Okay.
To keep it the same.
All approved.
Yeah, I knew that. Thank you.
Why didn't you want to be chair, Larry?
Well, because I was talking to him. I says, I think he's doing a great job.
I agree.
And they said, I'm up next year for re-election or non-re-election, whatever my old age allows me to do. And it's working well. I told Clint, and I'll say it now even with Heather, if he's working on extra details and she needs somebody, she can call me up because, I don't have a life. So we can help you out. So. Just like Dan, I see him up the pool today and checking that, and he was checking something else.
It's okay. It's commitment.
He's good. He's a good guy.
Next, we have our committee and board annual reappointments. The list has grown substantially since last year. We have a few vacancies.
So how do we handle it? Do we approve what as is and hopefully we find people to serve in those positions?
So Heather, do you want me to just go through and kind of list our vacant ones?
If you could, we would only reappoint people that are in the position. If there's a vacancy, then if you announce that there's a vacancy, or maybe somebody that's watching would want to come forward.
Okay. That's good.
Do we have to go through them all one by one? Or can we just kind of...
Well, I think that you
Right.
don't have to go through individual, but if you say appoint the following people to the ad hoc bike park
Okay.
for a term of 1 year.
So we'll go through them one by one? All right.
Yes.
I can't probably vote on it because my son's on
Okay. So you can abstain then if you want. So our first one is our ad hoc bike park committee. We have Ben Barnhart, Mary Bartlett, Bruce Lessel, Zach Livingston, Mike McCusker, and Jeremy Coleman. I'll make a motion to approve those for a 1-year appointment.
Second that.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
And
I abstain because my kids are there.
Agricultural Commission, 3-year term. We have Christopher Lenartz, Sam Purrington, and Martha Taft Ferguson. I'll make a motion to approve those 3 for our Agricultural Commission for a 3-year term.
I second that.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. We have the Franklin County Animal Control Advisory Committee. We have Heather Butler, and I believe I was also on that as well. You didn't list me.
I didn't make the list.
Oh, so let's put him down there.
Actually, you're the regular and I'm the alternate.
Right.
So we should vote it as such that.
Okay.
He's regular and you're alternate. Okay, we
Yeah,
got that.
Sure. Oh, he's as regular.
So we have Heather Butler and Clint Phillips for the Animal Control Advisory Committee. That's a 1 year, Heather?
That is a 1 year.
Okay. I'll make a motion to reappoint both for another 1 year term.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Board of Registrars, we have for a 3 year term. That one is currently vacant. So if anybody would be interested in that position, we would be more than welcome to bring you on board. Board of Trustees, for the will of Fred Wells, for a 5 year term, we have Sue Schager. I'll move to reappoint her for that 5 year term.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Conservation Commission for a 3 year term, we have Kathleen Little, who is also the chair. I'll make a motion to reappoint Kathleen.
I second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Council on Aging for a 3 year term, we have Ellen Eller, who is also the president. I'll make a motion to approve that for another 3 year term.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We're looking for a fence viewer, people. So, yeah, if anybody has any interest.
There's an opening, a
You have to
vacancy.
explain that, John.
You-
Fence viewer.
Just
Well, that
picture in
is-
your mind, okay?
If you would like more information, you may follow up with our town administrator, Heather Butler. Field driver, which is right now a vacant.
It must be with the fence viewer.
Yeah.
Maybe drive the fence viewer around.
Melissa Griffin has shown interest in it. Did she say anything about what changes she would like to see in those duties?
She did not.
Okay. Maybe that's something we can reach out to her for.
Yeah. I think that the fence viewer, the field driver, and even the gypsy moth superintendent, all are positions that are vacant. You know, if there was somebody that was interested in taking them all on, you know, we could create a job description
Yeah.
See,
that,
fence viewer, field driver.
Unpaid job.
oh yeah, they're-
Just eliminate them?
unfortunately, no, they're an MGL, yeah.
The traditional.
By luck, we would. The gypsy moths would come to the fences would fall apart and we couldn't do anything about it.
All right. The Franklin County Cooperative Inspections Program. The advisory board representative, which is a 1 year term. We have Jim Bonham. I'd make a motion to reappoint him for a 1 year term.
I second that.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We have the FERCog Cooperative Public Health Service Oversight Board for Board of Health representative for a 1 year term. We have Carmela Lanes O'Wheel. Make a motion to reappoint her.
I'll second it.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No, aye. Sorry. Must be the heat.
Yeah. We have the Franklin Regional Planning Board for a 1 year term. Joan Livingston. And we also have Heather Butler as an alternate. And we also have one other, is that an alternate opening?
Which
So we
one?
have for,
Says the
For
open
Cog
one.
Franklin Regional Planning Board.
Yeah, so, I don't recall that we had a select board member on the planning board for Franklin County, and thought that that was maybe a typographical error. Alicia and I talked about that we would expect that a member of the planning board would serve to the regional planning
That would
board.
probably make more sense than one of
Yeah.
us.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I certainly am not qualified as a member or even an alternate. I would maybe defer that appointment to the planning board.
Right, I agree with you there.
So we'll bring that one back, I think. We have the FERCog Emergency Manager and Response Coordinator for a one-year term. We have Herb Guyette, who was our current EMD, and Heather Butler as our Emergency Response Coordinator. I'll move to reappoint both for a one-year term.
I second that.
Okay, further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So are you skipping the FERCog planning?
Yes, we're tabling that one for now.
Yeah.
We'll kick that one back to the planning board and see if they can come up with a rep for that. We have our FERCog representative. Right now we have Heather as our alternate, but we have nobody else for,
Well, the way it is now, I am the primary representative, and Joan has been the alternate.
okay.
We're happy to continue in that.
Joan, you're okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I've attended the last two meetings we had at least.
Okay.
But you're the primary one, right, Amanda?
I will, yeah.
Okay.
So
Please.
you're the primary and Joan's the alternate
Yes.
now. Okay.
So I will make a motion to accept Heather Butler as a primary and Joan Livingston as the alternate.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Our Gypsy Moss Superintendent, once again an open, vacant position, looking for that right person.
I did have one on my hand the other day.
Did you?
She has experience.
Right?
Sorry.
I forget you said that, right?
Supervising it.
Yeah.
Yes.
At this time, our highway superintendent is also a vacancy, but we have a outstanding highway crew that are getting the job done right now.
And we're bringing Anthony up. He'll fill that
he's-
position
yeah,
soon.
working his way up to it. The Franklin County Regional Housing for the elderly, for a one-year term, we have Joan Livingston. I would move to reappoint Joan for that one-year term.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 So our emergency management team is different than our emergency manager response. Okay. Well,
Well, you can,
it's a different position, but it's the same people. So we have Herb Guyette as our director and Heather Butler as the assistant. I'll move to accept both.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Energy Committee for a one-year term, we have Michael Novak, Penny Novak, Margaret Olin, Harvey Shackman, and Brian Summer. I'll move to reappoint all for a one-year term.
I second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
What was the term on the emergency management team?
Doesn't say here.
Doesn't say.
Is that a one-year?
yeah,
Yeah.
when in doubt, 1 year.
Okay.
Lighting Advisory Committee, we have none. The Light Scholarship Fund, we have Larry Wells and Carol Leach. That's another one-year appointment there. I'll move to accept both of them for another term.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Municipal Vulnerability Program is vacant.
What is it?
That is the group that oversees our municipal vulnerability plan document that we use when we apply for grant funding under MVP. But you know, the Pleasant Brook watershed project that we're working on, it would be the group that oversees that. We're not reappointing the MVP committee because Green Communities, which is administered through the Department of Environmental Affairs, is changing that to a climate leaders program. So while they're coordinating those efforts, we'll bring that back to you.
Okay. Thank you.
We have the Nillman Scholarship Fund. It is under Marion Scott for a one-year appointment. I'll move to reappoint.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Open Space and Rec Plan Committee for a one-year term. So these vacancies that are listed here, Heather, are these people that are looking to step into these, or?
They would be people that were part of the original open space
Okay.
update and continue to serve in that capacity.
Okay.
Except for the ones that are in red, they would not like to be
Okay.
part of it anymore.
All right. So we have 4 vacancies for Open Space and Recreation Plan Committee. But we do have Ellen Kaufman, Janet Sinclair, Chris Skelly, and Phoebe Walker. So we'll move to reappoint those 4.
Second that.
All in favor? Aye. Personnel Committee, we have Larry Wells for our Select Board appointment. I'll move to reappoint Larry.
I second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Is that a 1 year too?
Yes.
Yep.
Planning Board, 3-year term, John Wyman. Move to accept John.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public Safety Committee, for a 1-year term, we have Heather Butler, Anthony Gutierrez, Jake Lowell, Greg Bardwell, Herb Guyette, Anthony Jewell, Henry Phillips, and Janet Sinclair. Move to reappoint all for a 1-year term.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Rec Committee for a 3-year term, we have Brandon Pasias. Move to reappoint Brandon.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sewer Hookup Inspector. Would that fall back to the Sewer Department for that vacancy, or Board of Health, or?
No, it's our chief operator.
Okay.
But we're in a little bit of a flux at the moment. We don't get many.
Yep.
We don't get many. I hate to reappoint him because then he's stuck for another year.
But in our minds, let's keep that there.
Yeah.
So we'll keep that as a
We
vacant.
know who we're going to
That's
call.
right.
Yes, we do.
That's right. That's right. Until he drops his phone in the pool up at the rack.
Or worse.
We have our Technology Committee, which is an ad hoc committee. We have Heather Butler and Joan Livingston. Move to reappoint them for the remainder of the...
We could certainly use a few
Ad
more
hoc.
people on that.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Harry?
Aye. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's that word technology that scared me.
I think Larry would be great on that with you guys.
Hey, I can do Zoom now.
That's right. Our Veteran Services Representative, a 1-year term, we have Larry Wells. Move to reappoint.
I second that.
All in favor? Aye.
I'm glad you came
We're
early.
getting there.
Our ZBA, which is a 5-year term, we have John Gould, who is the current chair. I would move to reappoint John.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Our Sherburne Falls Task Force, we have Joan Livingston. That's a 1-year appointment. We move to reappoint Joan.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Zoning Board of Appeals, a 5-year term. We have Robin Bessler. I'd move to reappoint her.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 There it is. The Animal Control Advisory Committee, again. We already voted on that,
Yeah.
so.
You're automatically in.
Yep. Historic Commission, you have Beth Ann Bascom. I'd move to reappoint her.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 So we have a couple to be determined. We have the FERCog Public Health Service Oversight Board, Board of Health Rep, for a 1-year term. We have Peggy Hart as an alternate. Our field driver vacancy and our Board of Registrars. So those are in the works. That's all of them. All right. We have our ADA grant application for the town hall.
I just wanted to talk a little bit about a project idea that that has bubbled up through some staff conversations. Keeping in mind that any projects that we apply for have to be identified on our ADA self-evaluation and transition plan. They can't be for new projects or new facilities until we until we can show that we've removed the barriers from the facilities and assets that we already have. We talked about the rear entrance of the town hall, that the current configuration of that back entrance is prohibitive for accessibility, even though that's where our elevator is located. Clearly, some exterior structural work to the rear of that building that I believe we had talked. Did we talk at the last meeting about the perhaps being able to reconfigure that space to allow that bathroom that is at the rear of the building to be an outward-facing accessible bathroom? And whether or not you would support an application. The next grant award is $250,000. I don't know that the work could be completed for that amount of money, considering some of the structural, but I think it would probably,
So what would need to be done in that lobby?
that would be up to an engineer to decide.
You gotta now turn the
We would have
inside door to the
right.
outside
And
door.
engineering costs are not paid for through this grant, so we would have to hire somebody using either our grant match or another appropriation. But that's a project that I've identified for the application. Or if there's anything else that this board would like me to consider, I can certainly.
How, if we did that, how often what would be the hours that would be accessible to
Well,
people?
that would be up to the board to decide. I think what you'd want to do is you'd want to have an automatic lock, that the facility would be, unavailable whenever the downtown area quieted down, whether it be 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. I don't think you'd want to leave it open all night.
No, with a timer that way, we just,
Yeah. But I think those details are something that would be worked out through the engineering process, through the architectural process.
So does that, so right now, as that foyer sits right now, that's not considered ADA compliant?
It is, no. Because the doors have the traditional pull bar, the handle. They're very heavy. You can't open them without being upright and, so you'd have to install new doors that are accessible. You'd have to have the push button.
Right.
And you'd have to either reconfigure that foyer so that you remove that second door. You know, because you've got that little vestibule area. You'd have to either remove that door or put a second accessible door, and I don't know that you have the space for somebody that is in a chair or another means of mobility to maneuver themselves from the back door and into that space and then do another door.
Yeah.
So it would certainly be a project. However, it is at the top of the list of our non-compliance. But you know, we have we tried to address some of the accessibility issues at the transfer station and just found that that was just far too much of an impracticality. And we addressed we addressed the parking at Cricket Field. The Buckland Deck is in pretty good shape. That's our last major hurdle, is that vestibule. And I don't have to put anything in it at all. I can take a year off and not do anything at all. I just, that's a project that sort of is top of mind. That's up to the board. I just want to make sure that we know that it would require the services of a licensed architect and engineer, which would be paid for out of pocket, and that you know, obviously we'd have to go out in the formal bidding process for the actual work itself, and that the grant max is $250,000, so that if we only made it as far as the doors and weren't able to sort of go to the, you know, the bathroom aspect of it, that it might have to be done in 2 phases. So,
It's not gonna get any cheaper if you wait another year.
No.
no.
Can we maybe try to get an estimate on the architect on that, so we can maybe make a better decision?
Yeah.
Because there's a difference between, yeah, it's gonna cost 10 grand or it's gonna cost 50.
I think it's going to be probably somewhere in the middle. I would say between 30 and 50.
To design accessible door.
And it isn't simply the doors. I mean, you're talking about that whole back of the building. You know,
Right.
You have that little porch area,
That's not.
and that railing is going to be sort of prohibitive. You know, that railing would probably have, that whole porch space would have to be reconfigured, redone, renovated.
Well, that's one thing I learned. One thing I learned at the former police station was, they had these huge bathrooms, but they were, by 2 inches, they were not handicapped accessible, and that ramp was not handicapped accessible.
No. So, I can put this out for another season and come back to it, or we can continue to look at it.
This is usually one, though, that tends to grant the funding, so I'd hate to let it go.
Well, let me do a little bit more homework. I'll come back. And then the next item on your list is the park grant, and we just met as a group with recreation and youth baseball, and we have decided to not move forward with the park grant for that this year. Everybody was in consensus that the lighting project, although eligible, wouldn't be enough of an ask in order to make the park grant worth our while, because it makes us ineligible for 2 more years. And we really want to come in with a project that involves lighting, concessions, and bathrooms down there. So we're going to spend the next couple of months really getting that application package put together, so we have a really good chance of getting funded for that. And if we just applied for the $30,000 that we need for the lights, because there's a matching MLB grant, it is such a great grant opportunity to tie it up for 2 years for the limited ask. So we're going to investigate other grant sources for those lights.
So they're gonna go through the Major League Baseball?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank
So,
you.
Yeah, so,
Yeah,
I'll
no,
come
that
back
was,
with
that
some
was a
more.
big one that Zach was working on already at that point, so.
Right, well, when my Zach went to Gateway, they built dugouts, and we got a Major League Baseball grant that paid for it all, and they, it was a good thing.
Yeah.
That was one player's salary for one game.
Half a game.
That must have been a rain game.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'd be curious on what the cost for, that, all the engineering on that would be.
Yeah, definitely.
Because, I mean, maybe even looking at eliminating that outside door.
Maybe they can put a vestibule on it outside. Like the whole thing built out instead of using the current space, like maybe that little porch
Yeah.
area would be the
Yeah.
entrance.
Right, and I think that's exactly what we would be looking at doing, is creating a larger, more open
It has to
space.
be. Turning radius for wheelchairs
Right,
and things. It has to be.
exactly. I think we have the physical room to do it. We looked at it a little bit
And having the
today.
door coming in off the end instead of off
Yeah.
the side of the
Yep.
building.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So, anyways,
All right. Yeah, a little bit. When's that one due?
it's very soon.
Before our next meeting?
I don't know the answer.
Okay. Well, we'll find out, and if we think it's gonna be in the roundhouse, we could set a special meeting to
Okay,
approve to move forward on it.
or we could wait.
Or we could wait.
But can you?
Yeah. We can wait. I don't know
It is hard.
if, all right, so, the park grant is moving.
Yeah, no action on that.
Yep. All right. So we will move on to our West County Senior Services District Board of Managers for a discussion of the fiscal management opportunity.
Thank you. So our chairperson had sent a letter to the select boards, and just to recap for anyone watching, we do have a complete complement of Board of Managers now who have been sworn in. Todd Olanek and Amy Shapiro from Ashfield, myself, Janice Florio, and Regina Pernton from Buckland, and Christina Baronis and Sylvia Smith from Shelburne. And we've elected transition officers, meaning people who will serve until the board becomes officially active. Sylvia's chair, Amy is vice chair, and I'm the secretary. Generally, we've been meeting the second Thursday of each month, and Bob Dean has been attending as a FERCog rep. He has a little bit of time that the director allowed him to have, so he's been very helpful with ideas and doing some of the research for us. And what we've been doing is trying to create the transition plan that we have to have in place that the select boards would need to approve in order to activate the actual district. And so right now, what we've been doing is having working meetings. We're updating the consortium bylaws to become the district bylaws. So we're working on those as a group during our meetings. Julie, the director of the senior center, has been working on employee handbook drafts, and we're also now reviewing that as a group. And we've talked about the fact that, there would be policies that also go along with this, and so we'll sort of be looking at all of those together to make sure that no two things are saying the same thing, so one could refer to the others. And so that's what we're sort of been really digging away at. On the side, some of us have been researching issues. Bob Dean has been looking into the transition for retirement benefits for the employees and how that will work. I met with Kara Leach and Linda Marcotte from Buckland, and also Angel Bragdon from Shelburne, about how the fiscal agent process works for the fire districts, just to get an idea of how the towns have been handling those. And I also had called Joe Shea from Hampshire Group Insurance Trust to find out what the transition process would be for the current employees of those. So that's the research we've been doing, and what we'd like to do now is determine as soon as we can who would be the fiscal agent for the district. And our first step in that is to approach the towns and hopefully have conversations with the towns to see what their level of interest would be. And I would call it a bid. I don't know if it's actually a bid, but I mean, it would be something that the town would charge the district for. You know, I know right now the town of Shelburne has a fiscal fee that the Senior Center Consortium, or the Senior Consortium, pays them, and probably that would be more, a little bit more, because things like payroll would need to have their own accounts and things like that. But basically, the responsibilities that the fiscal agent would be doing are what Shelburne is currently doing for the Senior Center Consortium. So under benefits, it's the Group Insurance Trust, Hampshire County Group Insurance Trust, the Regional Retirement System, dental and vision insurance, life insurance, unemployment benefits. Under financial services and accounting, how we're going to handle treasurer, we haven't really completely decided. We don't have an elected treasurer now because we're still using the budget that the Senior Center Consortium has in place. Payroll, accounting services, auditing services, bills. And so what we're hoping is that the towns can each let us know by July 1st whether they would be interested in pursuing conversations about possibly being the fiscal agent. So I don't know if you have any questions on that, or one thing that when I talked with Linda and Kara and Angel, the things that came up were, you know, they would have to know what the budget is. So obviously we can provide the senior center budget. How many employees are they talking about? And right now, the senior center has 2 full-time benefited employees and 1 part-time benefited employee. So it's not a huge number of employees being added to it. And that's sort of the where we're at, and I don't know if you have questions right now, or if we can hope to.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is Shelburne interested in continuing this relationship?
Well, we're asking every town. So I know that Sylvia and probably Christine probably met with the select board already, but I haven't heard what they've said. Yeah.
I mean, I think that would probably make the most sense is if Shelburne wanted to continue it, because they're already kind of set up and doing it.
One of the benefits a town could think of is it is some money for whoever does it. But, yeah, I think we were hoping to hear from each town that they, you know, and have conversations about possibly their level of interest, just to do some homework around it.
Yeah. We as a finance team, not the finance committee, but as the finance team, discussed this, knowing that this conversation was coming up. And I think that with current staffing responsibilities, we would like to defer accepting that role for at this time. We also look at it much like the fire districts that are there, because this district is the exact same model, you know, from a government entity as the fire districts, and they have their own financial support models. And I think that it might benefit the senior center district to look at an outside third party that isn't one of the towns, modeling it much like the fire district. And, you know, rather than having one town take that on behalf of three communities. But anyways, that was the internal staff. Obviously, they aren't the final say-so. They just shared that we are one-person offices. You know, we have plenty on our managing the town, and would probably be less inclined to take on the responsibilities of financially managing the senior center district, as lovely as all of them are.
Okay.
Thank you.
Have you guys spoken with the fire district to see kind of how they
Yes, we have.
manage
Yes,
all
we
of their
have.
stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that something that you guys have been discussing as well?
Well,
Like maybe
what
going
we've
that
been
route?
discussing is, as we understand it, if we need to go private, then it would need to go out to bid.
Mhm.
So our first step was to see if a town was interested in continuing it, since the model sort of already exists for the consortium.
Right.
And then,
Now, are they private or are they doing it in-house?
well, so the fire district, they have one person who's doing, Jan Moran is doing the bookkeeping and auditing. We actually haven't thought having those two functions be one person is maybe the best way to go. Especially with 3 towns in the mix. On the other end, in Shelburne, I talked with Angel, the towns were handling some piece of billing or something, and I forget what the state law was around that. There were certain bills or something. I forget how that worked out. But each one was handling it somewhat differently. And Angel, I think, provides some services for the Shelburne Fire District, but separate, obviously from her role as the treasurer for Shelburne. So,
And that was the other issue that came up, is that we'd have to look at the double dipping, because any work done on town time for another agency, you would have to have a conflict of interest disclosure. I know that Kara does some of the same role that
Right.
Angel performs in Shelburne for the Shelburne Falls Fire District. Kara does, but we have to be careful about when she's doing it and how she's managing it. It just adds another layer of complication
Yeah.
to the.
Back to the small community issues.
I know. Well, I mean, we certainly understand that the district is, and we appreciate the fact that you're exploring it at this level, right? I mean, it's certainly very nice to know that you think that that we're up to it. But it's just, until I think we'd like to hear what Shelburne and Ashfield think about it first, and whether there could be a third party that we could support that third party model. We could be supportive of that, much like we are with the fire district.
Okay. Yeah, so I think at this point, right now, I think the town of Buckland is gonna look to defer at this point.
okay.
Do we have any discussion on that?
No, I've been listening, I mean, if the staff isn't able to do it.
Right. Well, that's it, I would kind of rely on our staff to make that determination. If they said, oh, yeah, we can take that on, no problem,
Right.
I think it'd be a different story than, I mean, I don't want to throw more on their plate.
But I also don't think we want to be the liability.
Right.
Right? I mean, that's the other part of it too, is that it's so brand new, and your
Right.
stakes are pretty high, and I think that we're a little bit hesitant to put ourselves in a situation where we would be a detriment as well. I mean, be perfectly honest.
Yeah. So I will make a motion that the town of Buckland defers from becoming the fiscal manager for the new West County Senior Service Center.
Second that.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Well, hopefully Shelburne will be looking at it, or, I
find
think maybe
something.
that outside,
Find a way.
yeah,
For
yep,
Shelburne, it's not added work. I mean, they're already doing it, so it's not like a
right,
new thing.
yeah,
They never,
yeah.
Good night.
Good night.
Thanks, Virginia.
All right, moving on, we got contracts and grant documents. We have the Charlemont Road reconstruction contract for A. Martins and Son. I would make a motion to approve and authorize the chair to sign a contract with A. Martins and Son Construction in the amount of $931,980.50 for the reconstruction of Charlemont Road, Phase 2.
I second that. 50 cents, eh?
Yep, had to get every penny, you know. All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have the purchase and sale agreement with Jay Holman and Jake Orzakowski. You guys able to look over that purchase and sale?
Thank you for including the right of first refusal. Appreciate that.
Well, so to that point, so you do have, the document that you have in your packet has the right of first refusal. However, it's just so you have access to that language. The documents that are in your signature packets, there's one of each, so that
Okay.
you can, I will say that I met with Jay and Jake today. If the board wants to pursue the right of first refusal, they would like opportunity to meet with you further and have those discussions. They would probably have their legal counsel review it. They had some concerns about limiting themselves with, I'll just, say that their concerns was that if they wanted to transfer within their organization, within their own company and within their own families, that signing something that disallows them from that without going through the town first is not something that they're overly interested in pursuing. So, and that was something that they were aware that this was sort of a conversation that would come up eventually.
Right. I mean, I can certainly understand where they're coming from. So you guys spoke about it at your meeting last night
Briefly.
with Finance Committee. What were your guys' thoughts and
Well, the
opinions on all
thinking is
that?
that if, without the right of first refusal, these individuals can buy the building and then they could flip it, like in a month. They could put something in there that now they're free to put anything they want there.
Right.
So the whole point, you have this whole process to protect the town and have something good go in that building.
Right.
But without that right of first refusal, then you're just leaving yourself open to it being anything. They could turn it into a car wash. I mean, they could turn it into anything. Having the right of first refusal protects the town and is in the best interest of the town to allow the town to, I mean, it seems like the lawyers could work it out to make it so that if it's transferred to a family member, that seems like that is easier
Right.
to work that out, that wouldn't have to factor in. And there's a certain amount of trust that goes into this sort of thing, but, it's just in the best interest of the town to hold on to that.
Right.
My concern,
Just the car wash zoning would never allow a car wash.
No, I know that was talking about some big
When you
I will
say,
say though, I do miss having the car wash. sometimes.
when you say they could put anything in there,
They can't put anything, no, but they could
it's not a,
certainly-
yeah.
There are many things that could end up being there that maybe aren't things that the town wanted.
Right.
But I also have difficulties to the extent of these people are buying it, they're putting the money up, it's their building, and now you want us to tell them that you can...
It's standard procedure.
I don't think so.
Well, yeah, it's
I don't think
standard
so,
for
maybe
a town.
sometime, but I need a little more time to think on this, please,
can I
Go
say
ahead.
something?
Yep.
I think if we wanted to do that requirement, it should have been in our proposal.
Exactly.
And to say, this is the requirements.
I
No,
mean,
we were told by council that it wasn't the appropriate place to put in the
Okay.
proposal.
Right.
All right, well, I don't think, I mean, I don't think they're going to flip the building.
I mean, I brought this up at the very first meeting.
Right, I know you
Yep.
did, I know you did.
So I think, I do agree with Paula. I think we could maybe see if there's some verbiage that we could put in with legal to where if it were to be transferred, you know, either from one of those parties to the other as a whole, like if Jay's buying out Jake, you know, something along those lines, you know, that's fine, or selling to an immediate family member. If it's to be sold to an outside agency, then the town would get right of first refusal, something maybe along those lines, if we could work something
I
out
could
like
live with
that.
Good
that.
compromise.
I
Yeah.
could live with that, because, you know, don't like to tell.
And you might not exercise your right of first refusal.
Well, that's it.
No,
No,
yeah.
of course,
Because it
yes,
might-
of course.
You know, I mean,
I
they
see your
seem like
point.
great guys.
Right.
Like, I don't, you know, and they seem like they'll
Yeah.
do the, you know,
Yeah.
they're gonna do
I see
a
your
great
point.
job.
I just think-
It's exciting to know what they're gonna do too. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't wanna put a downer on what they're planning to do. I mean, they're doing something good, you know, so.
Is there, do you put a time limit on that, or is it for
The
the,
lawyers did it. I don't know, the lawyers.
for the duration
Well,
of
and that
the
was-
ownership? I mean, if it happened in 5 years?
And that was kind of another one of my thoughts too, is, you know, can we put a time limit, you know,
The
for,
lawyers, I read it, I think it says 30 years.
Yeah.
You could lower the time limit.
yeah, I mean, we could certainly lower that down to even 10 years, you know, so they would have to do something with it inside that time frame or whatever.
You know, I don't want to restrict them from, which is good,
Right.
expanding with somebody else that's with them, or family, yeah, that's, so I can live with that. We'll just have to look at it then better, you know.
Just mindful that we were anticipating closing on the 28th, so that won't happen probably at this point, because we would have to negotiate that. So that's fine, I just want to make sure that I'm letting you know what delaying this.
How did Jay and Jake feel?
They were not overly interested in signing something with it. But again, you know, they didn't come right out and say absolutely not. They just indicated that they would have some hesitation to move forward with that. So I guess my suggestion would be that you call a meeting that you can negotiate, that would be executive session, because you know, you could negotiate that with them.
Okay.
And see where that goes.
If it doesn't close on the 28th, does it mean the money's not accessible to?
Not until FY20, it would be an FY26 free cash, so we'd wait a whole year and a half in order to have access to those funds.
Instead of having it available for next fiscal year?
Yeah,
So is this something we could maybe try to, you know, set up a meeting soon? Maybe get in touch with them
I think
tomorrow
so,
and see if we
yes.
can, you know, as soon as possible to try to maybe keep this on track, and we can sit down and try to work it out with them
yeah.
to kind of keep things moving.
Giving them time then to take what we say that to their legal. So, yeah, definitely, I think, we still could maybe make the 28th.
Yeah,
What if they say absolutely not?
that's a decision that you as the board would have to make.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, there's certainly language within the proposal and the purchase and sale that if they decide not to pursue it for whatever reason, you know, they have an out and you have an out.
Okay.
It's worth looking into.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that we're aware that it's, you know, that it's
Crunch time.
June 11th.
Yep.
It's already, they had already warned me that they may not be able to make that deadline anyway, just simply because of the,
Yeah.
so I told them that I've lost sleep over less and I've lost sleep over more. So, you know, we'll make it work,
Yeah.
whatever. The money isn't going to go away. It's
Right.
just when the town has the.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I would rather make sure that we do this right.
Yeah.
And if that means it
Yeah.
gets delayed, it gets delayed,
Yeah.
but,
I just didn't want you to not
Yep.
have that.
I mean, I would still like to try to meet with them,
Mm-hmm.
you know, as soon as we can
Definitely.
post a meeting and get them to an executive session,
Definitely.
to discuss it, so that, you know, that possibility still is maintained. And if we can't come to an agreement at that point, then, you know, we can kind of maybe step back and say, okay, let's take a breath from this and see if we can't work something out. So, so I think we table this at this point. Heather, you'll be able to get in touch with them and maybe our town council tomorrow, and we can get a date locked in for that.
I have to say, I'm not available Thursday and Friday for this week.
Yeah. So then it would have to be Monday.
Monday will be fine.
All right.
Need time to read this too, so.
You're talking Monday, the 17th? Right after. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'd like to see us get something together by then, and have some input, definitely.
Right.
Still can make that deadline.
Okay. Permits and licenses, we have none. Minutes and warrants, we have the minutes from May 28th. I will make a motion to approve the May 28th Select Board minutes as written.
And I second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Also move to approve the executive session minutes from May 7th and April 23rd.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We have our vendor and payroll warrants for warrant 26. I'll make a motion to approve the accounts payable and payroll warrants for June 4th.
I second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Items not reasonably anticipated by the chair 48 hours in advance. We do have a letter for hire.
Two there.
There's two. I only saw the one for Kate.
They're back to back.
Oh,
Saving paper.
All right.
yeah, I like that idea.
So we have two letters for hire. It looks like they are both for lifeguards for the pool for summer. We have Eric Sorensen and we have Kate Walker. I would move to approve both for lifeguard positions for the Buckland Rec.
Is it my turn?
Sure.
I second it.
Okay, if you two are gonna bicker for the next year over all this,
No,
maybe
we
I'll
take
step
turns.
back as the chair.
We take turns, so. Or I can let Larry do all the seconds.
All right, further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
I also, under the 48-hour, you have a surplus property
Yes.
request from the Highway Department for 2015 cargo trailer that was donated to the town. It's in poor condition, and they would like to list it on municipal.
Oh, so that's what this thing is?
I'll make a motion
The
to
other side
approve
is
the
request, yeah.
Oh,
utility trailer to be listed for surplus.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, select board member concerns?
I attended, I believe since our last meeting, two meetings of the Downtown Rural District at FRCOG, and there was this discussion to, there's three communities involved, and that's Shelburne Falls, well, actually it's two communities, but Shelburne Falls, Northfield, and Turner's Falls, and And they're looking, at prospect of, maybe hiring someone to help, bring business, address concerns in the community. And I believe what they're going to do now is there seems to be some kind of, and I don't know, maybe doubt's not the right word, or skepticism, but to get a grant, that'll be through FERCog, I believe, to do a demonstration model to see if that would work out. So that's where it is right now, so. But, what they were looking at, this person would be, the towns would contribute, the businesses would contribute, they would get grants, so, I don't know. Originally Greenfield was involved in it. They've talked about maybe, they showed different models, how it's worked in other communities. Of course, the communities are like Amherst or Franklin, which are larger and certainly more well-off than our communities, so. Anyways, it's, nothing's really, we'll see what happens next, so.
Okay.
And I will say that the Shelburne's on the same page. Terry and I have had a number of conversations, and she's been attending the meetings along with Joan, and it's from, I think both Buckland and Shelburne's representatives are feeling that we're not ready to move forward. And so that's nice that we're on the same page.
Right. And if I was almost going to keep track of how many times I heard the word stakeholders. You don't have to put that in the minutes, right? And, also, did you get in the mail, so you could do a survey about the feasibility study for Mohawk Trail? The one, I did it online, but that leaves out a whole bunch of people who don't have access to, who don't use computers. I would hope that they would have some way to do outreach to find out what people who don't,
Yeah, if there's people out there that, certainly our libraries are a great resource for that. That, they can go down, and I'm sure the librarians there would assist other people with getting set up.
I think we discussed that, and the idea was to maybe have some hard copies somewhere. It's highly unlikely that people are going to fill out the hard copy as well.
Right.
People aren't going to fill it out, aren't going to fill it out. And it's a lot harder to gather the data when it's on paper.
I can see that. I can see that.
When you do a survey, it all comes right into a spreadsheet.
Right.
But if someone really wanted to, I'd certainly be happy to sit with someone and do it on a computer. They can ask a friend, ask someone from the senior center. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just come to the committee and we'll find someone to help. You know, someone in
There you
that
go.
position.
Yep.
Really.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
No. Town administrator's report.
Well, I don't know if anybody's noticed the 2 new large traffic signals in the
Yes.
middle of town that suddenly appeared out of absolutely nowhere.
Surprise.
Surprise.
We're a city now.
Well, you have a traffic signal. Congratulations. Last year when Mass DOT and Balthazar mobilized, we were able to have a little pre-construction meeting with public safety and talk about traffic patterns and detours, and that invitation was not extended this year. Thanks to our great chiefs, and we've asked Mass DOT and Balthazar to look at different configuration. I don't know exactly what that new configuration is going to be, but right now, with the sidewalk closed on Conway, right at the beginning here, at State and Conway, and then the project area where I understand that they're going to be removing that wall, so they're going to need ample room for safety and OSHA regulations to be able to work within that project area, and then you need a 1 lane of traffic. but it's not leaving any room for pedestrians, and we certainly know that that is a well-walked area. So the way that they had left it was that you were going to be walking in the same lane as the traffic, and even with the signals, it's just still not enough room.
Well, they have a detour set up now that goes up Ashford, Franklin.
They took that down, because the idea is that they aren't going to, they don't want to close Conway. So there's going to be that one lane of traffic. That was just temporary this morning. And they are looking, it is their intention to leave one lane of traffic open through the duration of this project. Whether they're going to be able to find a way for pedestrians to traverse that first
Stretch,
section,
yeah.
which the sidewalk picks up just past the quilt shop at 4 Conway. And with the way that the contour of the retaining wall side, there is actually enough gravel through, I would say, half of that distance for a person to walk single file off the road, but there is a stretch where that isn't possible. And I've been paying attention and watching kids, and I know school's going to be out soon, so the student commuting traffic won't be as much, but you still are having people walking more than single file through there, and it doesn't seem particularly safe. Anyway, I just want residents to know that we're working on trying to find a solution to it. Unfortunately, we didn't have any forewarning where we were invited to, have some input into how that was going to get set up. It was kind of built out before we were aware of it. But we are trying to retroactively find a solution. It may be that they just close it to pedestrian traffic in its entirety. I don't know how you monitor that, without having a detail officer there at all times. Because even when they're not working, the detail officer would only be there when they're working. And it still would be a safety issue, but somehow closing it to pedestrian and having pedestrians go up Ashfield and, through there. We do have the new sidewalk on Depot, but unfortunately that only goes as far as the parking lot, and then it's private property through to the other side of Elm.
But even the other side of Elm, there's not much room to be walking on the...
Right, so it's not an ideal solution no matter how you look at it, but we are trying to figure out something, and I updated the website yesterday, and I'll do so again as soon as I know more. But again, sorry for the lack of knowledge or warning that this was happening. I honestly didn't know, and neither did either of our chiefs.
We knew they were coming, we just didn't know when.
Right, and we also didn't realize what that configuration was going to look like. And I reached out to both chiefs to see if maybe they had been part of the conversation, and they weren't asked either. So, responding to emergency services, calls for services, and you don't know that there's a one-way, a one lane, and that, it wasn't handled well. But we will, figure out something. And I think that is my only update, certainly the most important one.
Is there a time frame when this will be done?
All summer.
Okay, all right, well, it's not more than 1 year.
I think they'll be able to set that up where actually, because you're going to be stopping and letting the cars go one way, but there's going to be nowhere to walk. I'm picturing myself, but there may be a few bad spots though, but yeah.
Yeah.
Take a ride when you get it. No, I got to go down there.
No, walk it.
Oh, come on, I don't walk anymore.
Like I said, there are certainly spots where you can be off the pavement,
right,
and out of vehicle traffic, but there is an entire section there where you are in the road, and it's a very narrow space.
It's going to get worse as they start doing the sidewalk, because you won't be walking on it.
Well, the sidewalk's already closed.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's going to be down all the way too, so they're going to have equipment near there.
So they have to make it wider, right? And with a curb. The sidewalk.
No, the sidewalk's gonna be the same size going in.
They just have that, so the sidewalk along the river walk, that is closed.
Right.
And then in addition, they've taken up the next lane of traffic for their project work
Yeah,
area.
right, okay.
And then you have Jersey barriers, so there's now just one lane of traffic that is alternating with the traffic
Yes,
signals.
said it.
And so there's always going to be traffic coming through there, one direction or the other. But also, that's what they're considering their pedestrian walkway. And I guess it's,
It's gonna be tight.
Yeah.
Now, they're, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's not like just a million cars every minute and stuff, and if people could just get, maybe zip around and,
yeah.
it's gonna be shaky.
You know, if we knew that everybody that was walking was, and everybody that was driving was completely present. But we know that people walk with cell phones and headphones and drive with cell phones and headphones, and if there is a way that we can add some designated pedestrian space there, I think that would be ideal. And if you can't, then not allowing pedestrians to walk there at all may be the next best solution. But again, I'm not an engineer. It's up to them, but I've asked them to please keep both chiefs in the conversation, so that they are aware of whatever the solution is. Yeah. Also, Wednesday, June 19th is Juneteenth. So a few years ago, you adopted that as a public holiday. So town hall will be closed and all non-essential services will be off that day. And it also coincides with a little time off that I'm going to take. I will be out of the office Monday, Tuesday, and then the Wednesday holiday, and I'll be back next Thursday.
Okay. So,
I think you earned a couple days off.
Well,
It's been a stressful couple of months.
now that we're putting off the purchase and sale, it's making my, it's making that a little bit, I can Zoom, so we'll figure it out.
okay, yeah, because it would be really,
Yep.
I hate to
I
take
can't-
away your free
yeah.
time, but you're.
I mean, it may be
your
something to
counsel is
where we can,
important.
Understood.
it may be something where we can set it up as a Zoom, like on Thursday or Friday during the day, unless you're,
I'm going to be in Boston. I'm actually on my way to, no, I wouldn't be really
Okay.
available Thursday.
all right.
And Friday I'm going to, it's all family stuff. And I will
Shoot
not
for
be,
beginning
I'll
of
not be
next week, and we still
where I
have
can do
something just
Zoom.
Another
So.
week before the meeting,
Yep.
we should have things finalized by then. Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Yep.
There's not, you don't have a particular designation for the money that would be gained from the sale.
No.
So if it were a month out, it's not, I mean, I don't want to see
No,
it do that.
it's not a month out, it's a year.
It's a year.
Yeah.
I know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, there's no, like,
Right.
the money isn't needed urgently for some particular project.
It's in the back of my head that if we need a contingency for the salt shed, that's been in my, that's been in my head, but,
Right.
we'll make do.
Just if we can have it, it doesn't tie it up for another year, that's the thing.
Yeah, and
There's also a revision on the Shared Conservation Commission agreement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The town of Goshen has opted to not participate. So the agreement has been modified, removing them from the agreement paperwork, but also adjusting the budget. The Buckland's share would be adjusted 3% as a 3% increase. That is, I think, still a fairly reasonable amount of money to spend for those services. The first year is covered entirely by a grant and gives us a year to look for how we would accommodate it in the budget. But this is an opportunity, if you felt that it wasn't something you wanted to move forward with, obviously.
Do we know what that 3% roughly is
We're looking at between $12,000 and $15,000. So 3% of 12 on the low end.
Refresh my memory, how many communities are in this group?
I think it was 5,
You have it in
wasn't it,
the,
originally,
yeah,
so now it would be 4.
I don't have it here.
in the documents to be signed,
Oh, okay, he has that, so, okay.
there's the agreement again. You have the signature sheet.
Yeah. And that's
Was-
3% of even 12,000, it's only
There was
$360,
Ashfield,
so it's not overwhelming.
Yeah. Could be.
Do you know why Goshen decided not to
Could
be
be,
part of
yes,
it?
yes.
They wanted to
Ashfield,
go
Buckland,
different-
Holly, Whately,
They wanted to
Williamsburg.
go with their own.
So now there would be 5.
Yeah.
Well, they're also in Hampshire County, too.
Right.
Oh, it's in Hampshire County.
No. Yes, Williamsburg.
Oh, Bergie still.
Yep.
Oh, Whately. Well, Whately is
And-
Whately
still.
still
And there are,
Franklin
and
County.
it would, it's certainly structured that other towns could come on, much like our animal control. You know, that sometimes we lose a town sometimes, but more often than not, we're gaining communities.
Yep.
So I would anticipate that this would go the same way.
Is that something we need to revote on, or?
No, you don't have to revote because
I think we're-
you've already voted to participate. I just need to make sure that you know that the budget has changed and that a town has dropped out.
Yeah. I mean, I think we continue to march on it. And we'll be able to reevaluate it for next year.
Yep.
And I'm just
See how it
wondering,
goes.
there must be communities who would like to have someone in this role.
Well, and that's
you
it,
know?
I think, usually, like what I found with the regional dog officer, I think a lot of communities kind of waited just to see how it would work.
Right.
And once it kind of got off the ground and moving, everybody and their brother was trying to jump on board, and, within a year, we went from, 1 to, I think, are we up to 2 full-time or 1.5?
1.5.
Yeah, so, so that's really taken off, and Kyle is doing a fantastic job, so.
Which can be a very difficult job to do, because,
Few times we
people,
beat him, he was very good.
Yeah.
I appreciated him very much, his input, and helped us make decisions that were
Yeah.
never easy.
well, I mean, dog hearings are the worst. Very difficult.
Oh,
You
I
have
know.
people who
It's
really
almost-
love their animals,
Yes.
no matter what,
Exactly
and,
That's exactly it.
Any update on the return of Baltazar to North Street?
I do not have an update for construction of the roadway, but they are going to commence with the blasting at the head wall at the intersection of 112 and North. That is a permit approved through the fire district, and they oversee that, so,
There's somebody there today looking at it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
What are they gonna blast?
But
Your house.
Yeah, probably.
you might feel it at your house.
Yeah.
I probably will.
It's the head wall at the top of North where it intersects with
Yeah.
112.
with 112. Thank you.
Yeah.
Probably end up
I
cracking
could
the bridge.
see the sign in my head. Hmm?
They'll probably crack the bridge.
Oh my God.
All right.
Let's hope not.
Yes, you're still on TV.
Yeah. Anything else, Heather?
I don't think I have anything else. We will be having community wood splitting volunteer time every Thursday in the month of June, going forward, and perhaps into July. DCR will be on site and organizing and running the event. We have some local volunteers, but also we have some folks from Coleraine coming up. So yeah, it should be weather were rained out last Thursday, but it were a go for this Thursday, and hopefully for the rest of the month. Wood is being dropped off daily by the utilities.
That's great.
So we are going to have, if we can keep up with the splitting, we will be able to keep the entire town of Buckland and perhaps Coleraine warm this winter.
That's the optic.
Yeah, if you are somebody who heats with wood and you would like a donation from the wood bank, please reach out to me, and we'll make sure that you get some.
Times? What time?
Thursday, we start at 8:30.
Okay.
We have the majority of the safety gear, eyewear, gloves, chaps. But if you are somebody who does this on the regular and you have your own equipment that you prefer and are more comfortable in, please don't, please wear what you would wear. And we have a job for everybody. You don't have to run a chainsaw or a splitter. There are jobs that anybody and everybody can do. So please, consider stopping by.
Excellent.
It starts at 8:30. Did I say that?
Yes.
Okay.
Public comment?
Students or Mohawk up?
I can't because of the age and the work permit and the laws.
Yeah, too bad.
Public comment?
Well, I made my comment. I do have something for Heather, though. I talked in the finance committee meeting about the sidewalk crosswalks, about doing flowers on the crosswalks, somehow dressing up. And I had another idea to make it even easier. What if the colors were just like, if they're high school students doing it, what if they used Mohawk colors?
Yeah.
Just stripes and Mohawk colors rather than just a white crosswalk. Make the crosswalk, a school spirit thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I can't have them do the work, but
Oh, I thought you said you were using high school students.
no, because having the high school students will free up. They can't be in the road, from what I
Okay.
understand, but they'll be doing the other work, like the weed whacking that they can do. I don't know why they can weed whack.
I realized when
Yeah.
I brought that up, you seemed like it was like, oh no, Paul, you're making more work, and I thought, how could it be easier?
It isn't more work. It's the timing of the suggestion.
Maybe it's for future.
We've procured the paint and
Oh,
yeah.
okay, you already have the paint, okay.
But I put it out to Mass DOT just to make sure are there any restrictions or guidelines for this? And I told the highway crew that I was going to ask them to hold off a couple of days. They are getting regular calls from residents who would like the paint, the sidewalks, because they don't look
It's because
good.
Shelburne did theirs last weekend.
I know.
Did this last weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did theirs last week.
So I'm just caught in the middle.
It's kind of like when your neighbor mows their lawn. You got 48 hours to respond.
Yeah.
It just seemed like an opportunity to dress up the downtown, especially when
I know.
the Bridge of Flowers closed. I thought, oh, well, can we add to the
Yeah.
beautification of the
I think it's a really cool idea.
Maybe not this time, maybe it's next time.
All right, announcements. We've got, our next Board of Selectmen meeting or our next Select Board meeting, is June 25th at 5:30. And I think that's pretty much it. And the Wood Bank on Thursdays at 8:30.
I can't believe I almost forgot to share that.
All right, anything else? Hearing none, make a motion to adjourn.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you and have a good night.